Michael Savage.
Afternoons 3 to 7.
On Talk 910 KNEW.
And online at 910KNEW.com.
The Savage Nation. On Talk 910 KNEW.
Warning. The Michael Savage Show contains adult language, adult content, psychological nudity. Listener discretion is advised.
And now, America's most exciting radio talk show, The Savage Nation. Here is Michael Savage.
Nation. Thank you for being part of it. You know the phone number. There's no point in my reading it out to you. Let's hear a little more doo-wop just for a minute. That's a smashing headache for 3 days now. Can't get rid of it. It's from Obama. I have a headache from Obama. I have a permanent migraine from this guy. Says that he's going to have new, clean, better. 17 lobbyists so far. 5 executive orders and 17 lobbyists and counting. One tax sheet after another. And he gets away with it. Why? Because of the empty suits in the media. The people without chicken parts, so to speak. That's what I'm talking about. The world of politics through chicken feet. I'm making a bigger point. That you go to buy a chicken today and try to get the parts they're missing. You can try to get a politician that's a patriot. The patriotic parts are missing from the politician. You understand this? I love nautical things. There are many things I love that I never talk about really in any detail. One of the things I love nautical objects, nautical paintings. Everything about boats I've always liked. Why, I don't know. How do you figure these things out? You discover what's in yourself, and you know. Certainly my family wasn't nautical. They were landlocked. I'm no big ocean racer, but I do a lot of boating on the bay. So yesterday, for example, it was so gorgeous out here in the Bay Area. I know there's horrible weather in the rest of the country. In fact, if it was a Republican in office already, the empty suits in the media would be screaming that it's McCain's Katrina. Where is Obama? How come he hasn't turned the power back on? Why are there ice storms? Why hasn't he stopped the ice storms? But because it's Obama, he can get away with anything, okay? So anyway, it was gorgeous out here in the Bay Area yesterday, like an early spring day. So I wanted to go boating. So we went out to a place, and there's a little interesting politics involved as well. We went on our boat about an hour away to a place called Mare Island. Mare Island is where the U.S. mothball fleet used to be kept. When I first moved to California, if you would drive up to Lake Tahoe and cross Highway 17, you'd see all the way down the estuary there were ships, the mothball fleet. And it was beautiful for me to look at because it brought to mind not only the victories of World War II and the heroism of America of that time, but it brought back to me the familiarity of the Brooklyn Navy Yard, because when I was a kid and we drive over the Williamsburg Bridge to my father's store, I'd look down and I'd see ships, actual real warships being repaired in the Brooklyn Navy Yard. And to the right, there was the Domino Sugar Company, which I think is still there. But I was always amazed that shipyards, the word I'm looking for is the scale of construction. The scale of the work in shipyards is something awesome, something to behold. So anyway, there's nothing left in this mothball fleet. It's all been scrapped. There's one broken down aircraft carrier sitting there and some broken down old cruise ship. But you see the remnants, the skeletons of the old cranes from World War II, the abandoned Mare Island Naval Shipyard buildings and whatnot, and you can almost see another era gone by. You know, as there are many places like this left in America. But there's nothing profound in what I'm saying to you. It's just a ride of nostalgia going down the lane. You come to the end of the estuary, and there's a bridge, a drawbridge, And when, we docked in some broken-down boat yard there was nothing but, like, boats sinking in the water. It's pretty dismal. I used the opportunity to walk the dogs, got back on the boat, and came home. And I ran the boat at 3,000 RPM. Normally, I run this boat at 1,800, 2,000. I've babied it for 5 years. It's interesting. It's a side note for the mechanics amongst you. I've been having a bit of a smoke problem. The boat's fine. It started every time I ever tried to start it up in 5 years. Great product. Great engines. These are the greatest engines ever made, the Cummins diesel engine. And believe me, I don't make anything for saying this. It's unbelievable American quality in manufacturing. These engines have always started, but I don't like the smoke. So my mechanic came out and he said to me, do you run this boat like you own it or like you rent it? I said, I run it like I own it. I baby it. He said, that's your problem. He says, I want you to take it out. Diesel engines need to be run hard and run it hot so you blow the carbon out. So I said, how do you like that? Because I always treat machinery as though I baby machinery, and I guess it's not good. I tend to treat them too nice. Well, to make a long story short, he had cleaned the turbos for me last week, got all the carbon out of them. Well, I took her out, went under the Richmond Bay Bridge, went past the so-called Brothers Islands. You can look them up on Google Maps. Big brother and little brother are watching you. I guess that's why I like the Brothers Islands. And then the run up to the Carquinez Straits is a good 35, 40 minutes. I flatted out on the engines, 3,000 RPM. The boat skated. I mean, she was flat. This is a 19-ton boat, and this thing just sailed over the water, just flat and calm. Went to Mare Island. Coming back, as I'm coming out of the estuary, I see a freighter, skidding down the Sacramento River, going out the Carquinez Straits into the bay. Obviously, she was going to leave the bay. And I love freighters. I've always loved the colors of freighters. That's one of my hobbies, is looking at freighters. I just love them ever since I've been a kid, always imagining what's on them, where are they going, where are they coming, what's inside the belly of the beast. So I see this freighter with this orange hull riding high in the water, and she's zipping along, going out the straits. And I must have been a half a mile down the channel, and I said, I got to really get on this, because if I get stuck behind it going out of the channel, I'm going to be sucking fumes for the rest of the day. All right, so I get out of the channel. I open the boat up, and I'm trying to pass this freighter. And I was doing about 14.8 knots. The freighter must have been doing 10, because I was gaining on her. But it took me at least 2 miles to catch up to her. And then I had to watch out for not being sucked into the waters of the freighter. Even though it wasn't a giant super freighter, it was still kicking up enough turbulence that my boat was getting, the action of it. I stayed all the way over to the port side of the channel. He was all the way over to the starboard side, but I was still getting the action of his waves. And then I finally passed him, and it was something to behold, passing that freighter and kicking it out, another 3,000 RPM, coming all the way up to the Brothers again, and then home to Sunset. And here I am, and I'll be right back.
Savage.